Good afternoon. How are y'all doing? It's me. Okay, let's just make sure everything is happening, that I am visible, that my microphone is on. Okay. Yeah. Let's get a spreadsheet going on. Okay, so how do I share that? I know how to share it. Let me get it on. Okay, we got a spreadsheet. We've got, no, that's not right. Okay, we'll put that back in a second. Here I am. Hi, everybody. It's Thursday afternoon. I've got a live spreadsheet tip, and today we're going to be talking about SKUs. Hi, everybody. Okay, not trying to keep myself from too much feedback. And we're going to, this is also happening here. Okay. All right. So here we are. Okay, so it's Thursday afternoon. I like to do a live farmer spreadsheet tip here. I've been asking for folks to send me stuff that they want to work on. Last week, we looked at how to import products into your Shopify store or any online store with a CSV. And we looked at a CSV file, and we looked at how to build that CSV file with different parts. And one of the things is we use a SKU in there, an SKU, a stock keeping unit. And I got a follow-up email about why don't I talk more about stock keeping units? And I've been thinking about that. And so that's what today is for. So I'm going to bring this spreadsheet up, and I'm going to talk about SKUs, SKUs, SKUs. So if you want to follow along at home, you can get this spreadsheet at spreadsheet.farm/FSA033. The FSA has to be in lower caps. The rest doesn't. And you can look at that, and you can jump into that sheet. And so what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to start talking about what a SKU is. Then I'm going to talk about how to build your own SKU. And then I'm going to show them in action in some spreadsheets. And some of it's going to be a rehash of what we looked at last week. And I'm going to go a little bit further too. Okay, so what is a SKU? A SKU is one second. I'm supposed to have this all hidden up as I unveil it, my talking points. Okay, sorry. So a SKU is a stock keeping unit. And that is a product code that refers to a specific format of a specific product. So that product, that SKU is a unique identifier for something specific. And so if one of your clients, let's say you did restaurant deliveries or grocery store deliveries, and they called up and said, we want product number 1245-7. It's a specific thing. It's a specific format of a specific product, and it's always the same, that thing. So that's your SKU, and so it's a unique way to identify a variant of your product, and you can use it all over the place. You can use it in your online store, which is kind of why we're talking about it here. We can use it in bookkeeping programs like QuickBooks or Wave or anywhere else that you use you do your bookkeeping. You can use it in your order forms, and you can use it in spreadsheets. And now, if you only have a handful of products, it's possible that SKUs feel like an overkill and an irritating thing. But the more your business gets complicated, the more they become really valuable, because somebody said they might want more carrots. But what does that mean? Is it a bunch of carrots? Is it a pound? Is it a bulk? And you can have other ways to figure that out. But the SKU is a way to streamline that. And also, it means a specific thing. I mean, that's not a great example because someone will probably say, I want like 2 pounds of carrots. But a SKU is a specific way to identify something in your store, and that always refers to it. And you don't have to worry about misspelling it. Well, you've got to spell it accurately, but it's usually simpler. So here, this is our seed packs. And so our seed packs in the upper left corner, you can see circled here, it says BN209. And that's specifically that bean is BN209. On the pack to the right, the calendula flower, it says LT105. And if we saw those rainbow carrots, the witch's fingers mix, in the upper left corner, it say UM301. And so that's a specific product code that we have. So if one of our rack clients wants more of they say, we want more beans, I would say, what's the product code that you want? Because we offer like 5 or 6 different types of beans, maybe even 10 beans. And so if they say we want more packs of BN209 or BN203 or BN205, it means something specific. And so in a case of a seed company or when we have a lot of products, that's obvious that it makes a big difference. But it even makes a difference when you start if you have a bunch of different vegetables. And it's a good practice to start using them sooner than later, because your business might suddenly become more complicated in an unexpected step. You might scale up, or if suddenly you start taking a lot of extra orders. Maybe you have an online store now and you realize it's easier to sell to people, and you start to carry honey and dry goods and other neighborhood stuff. And so all of that, the SKU makes organizing things a lot easier. So now SKUs often have 2 parts, and this picture that I just showed actually it only has the first part, and I'll talk about the second part in a second. But a SKU usually has 2 parts. They have a parent SKU, so the first part, which is for a specific product, and it might have a suffix to the parent SKU that shows a specific format. So in our farm, for our seeds, BN209, that's the parent SKU for rock door wax bean. That's what I just showed you. BN209-A or -A is always the garden pack. What I showed you here, this is BN209-A. And we actually dropped the -A when we designed these packs because our clients in these who have racks, they only have the -A. So we know if they're asking for something like that, it's specifically a -A. But otherwise, like internally, we always have, if it's a garden pack or a pack that goes in a rack like that, it's 15 grams in it, and it's BN209-A. And then if it's our next format, 100 grams, it's BO299-B. This -C is 400 grams. The -D is 1 kilogram. The -E is 2.5 kilograms. So we know right away what product it is, and we know that it's a different size. Now, we'll come back to breaking that down in a little bit. And well, actually, let's talk about, so this is what we do on our farm. And, and we have a specific way we built these. The B and the N refer to sort of the crop family. So it's the bean family. And their peas are also in this family. So they also start with BN. And then the 209 means like the 2 means the bush bean. If it's a 4, we know it's a pea. So there are some things that go into it. You don't have to go into that level. It's good to have a little bit of thought, but you don't have to go have a super deep understanding of what you're doing because you just got to get a number down. So if you're building your own SKUs, what should they look like? So the first thing is your parent SKU. So that's the first part that identifies the product, independent of the format. It should be a standard length. And it could be 3, 4, or 5 characters long. The longer, the more characters, the more options you have for flexibility later on. But you want them to all be the same standard length, your parent SKUs, because it'll make some of the formulas you might use, or that we'll look at in a moment, work smoother. Now, they can be letters, it can be numbers, and it can be alphanumeric. So both letters and numbers all mixed together. So you can do either of those. And there's no good way. It's the way that makes sense to you and that makes you happy. But one thing is, if they're just numbers, don't start with a 0. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have let's say your codes are all 4 digits, and so 1,000 would be a code. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Make sure you can see. So 1,000 is a code, but if I were to write 0, 100, let me just keep that same formatting here. If I'm going to write 0, 1, 0, 0, and that's still 4 digits, but if I push enter, it winds up just showing a 100. And so it might as well be 3 digits. And so some of the formulas that you would use that require a specific number of characters will make you unhappy with that. Now, there is a workaround. If you were to format it so that it shows plain text, you could do 0, 1, 0, 0, and it's going to hold there. But that means that all your cells that are referring to that need to have that. So I would just not start with a 0, start with 1, and work your way, or start with 1. If you have 4 digits, it's 1,000 and up. 5 digits is 10,000 and up. 3 digits is 300 and up. And so when you think about the number of digits you want, think on the long term about how many products and products you might have, so that you create that flexibility for it. And one thing that's nice about using letters in there is that if you have like A and then 100, there's 26 different letters that A could be. And so it gives you way more variance and possibilities with it than if you had just said, if that's just 1,000. So it effectively, if you add an A to the beginning, that winds up and actually could be A000. That gives you 26,000 different options, which is a lot bigger than the 10,000. And if you had 2 letters, that's 26 times 26 times the remaining digits. Now, so at Turnasol, we looked at this. So the first part, that BN209 is the parent SKU. That really should be the same nut length. It just makes it life easier. It doesn't have to be, but it will make your life easier if you do it. You'll have to do less workarounds. And the variant, the suffix after, so that -A, B, C, D, E, that, it's great if it's the same length, but it can also be variable. And I don't know. So we've used that A, B, C, D, E because it works for us, to kind of know it's the small, medium, large format. But what's tricky with that is, one moment. If someone doesn't know what the B format is, they don't know it's necessarily 100 grams. And from crop to crop, like our B format for carrots is not 100 grams. It's a lot smaller. I think it's like 5 or 25 grams. So the B format, it just means it's bigger than A and smaller than C, but doesn't have a set size. And so that's something that is a little bit irritating in this, though it makes it the right length. And so let's look at that next thing with going to this list. So these next sheets are coming out of what we looked at in last week's live farmer spreadsheet tip. And so there's, just as a reminder, there's a page that's kind of the descriptions related to a specific crop. And then the format list is when you turn it into a product. And then there's a Shopify CSV that links it all together. I don't know if we'll get through all the Shopify CSV, but we'll look at the first couple. So here I've got carrots as a product. And so something that I might do. So let's say we're going to separate from letters. Let's say I wanted to have 4 digits. Maybe what I want to do, or 5, let's go 5 digits, okay? So I'm going to write 10,000. And maybe I won't start on here. I'm just going to write here. So 10,000, this is going to be our roots. No, let's do 4 digits. 1,000 is our roots. And then 2,000 might be our greens. And then 3,000 might be, I don't know, what other kind of things do we have? It could be our squash, and so forth. So kind of beginning like that. And then we could write down, maybe we want our carrots to be the 1,100s. So this will be our carrots. And maybe 1,100, so you have 1,110 is an orange carrot. And then 1,120 might be maybe a rainbow carrot. I don't know if you sell other colored carrots on their own, whether people like to buy those or not. Maybe 1130 could be like a red carrot with that atomic red. And then maybe your 1,200s, this will be your beets. And then 1210, maybe that's just a red beet. 1220 could be like a Kyoja. And 1230 might be a touchstone. Let's call it your clients don't care if it's a touchstone gold beet. They just want to know if it's a golden beet. And you can kind of go on that way. So you can see that in this case, it's really structured that anything that starts with a 1 would probably be a root. And then if it's a second digit is a 1, you know it's a caret. Or so it's 11, it's a caret, 12, it's a beet. You can do stuff like this. And it creates, so between 100 and 200, you have 100 products. If you're not really using the zeros, you know, it's it gives you a little bit less range. But then you also, let's say you do fill up all those zeros and then you want to add something else. You decide to add in 1125 or 1125, or maybe, no, let's add in, we decide we're going to add some orange variants, and we go in and maybe we're going to start selling Chantenay's carrots on their own because they have a distinct flavor, distinct look. Anyway, so you got SKUs there. And so this sheet here from the Shopify that we looked at last week to build your Shopify CSV, it's based on, here we have it's based on the product name, and then the format. This is a part here. So here we have okay, let's go back here. We're going to, so carrots, maybe the orange carrots is going to be 1110. That's what we're writing right here. This is an example. And so going back to that format list, we have our carrot. We're going to be looking at a few different products of carrots. So they all have the same parent SKU. And now maybe we have a format that's a bunch. Maybe we have a format that is a 1 pound bag. Maybe we have a format that's a 5 pound bag, a format that's a 10 pound bag. Now, the way this is set up is this is just adding in, it's just taking the SKU and adding the unit after. Now, you could, maybe it's the, so here's the suffix. So put that in green. And whenever it's going to be a bunch, maybe we want that to be our A format. And whenever it's a pound, that's our B format. Whenever it's 5 pounds, our C format or D format. And so over here in H, see here, actually, you see the handle too. The handle and the variant SKU are the same. So this would be your SKU too. Here, you can see it's A, B, C, D. But if someone sees this, especially 1110-A, they're not necessarily going to know what it is. So that's one reason that I think it might be more useful on your farms to have suffixes that are a little bit more descriptive. So it could be that it's the full word bunch, or maybe you just write the word BN or BU to mean a bunch, or BUN, or BNCH, and then here, and then depending, maybe you want to just keep your suffixes all to four letters. So you could have it be 0, 1 pound. And here it can start with a 0 because it's not a number. As long as you use letters and numbers, it can be together. So you can see here it's you can read it, and then here it'd be 0, 0, 5, 5 pound, and then 10 pound. Now this doesn't give you the option of going 100 pounds and larger, but you probably aren't working with that as single sizes. So there's, so that gives you different things. If you want to keep it the same suffix length, there are advantages to that, but I probably wouldn't worry too much about having the same suffix length. And if you wind up with 1 pound and then 5 pound, you could add an S if you want, or maybe here it's half a pound. And so you could write, so what would you write? It'd be, in that case, that's why I like grams, because I would just write 225 grams here. But you could write, I don't know if you want to have a sign like that in your SKU. Hyphens, I don't mind. Or maybe it's just 0.5 pound, classic half sign. So there you have different suffixes, and that builds up your title. Now, these numbers, okay, this works. It can be fine. I find that a little bit hard to to relate to. I mean, it works well for all your spreadsheet and your QuickBook notices. Now, if you go back to here, maybe we do like this 4 digits, but maybe we want to have, so 1,000 is roots, but maybe we want to have 1, and then it could be, maybe we have 10,000 as roots. And maybe we do something like 1 CAR is carrots, and then, well, so carrots, and then we can actually just drag this down here. And so 1 CAR1 would be your orange carrot, 1 CAR2 would be your Chantenay carrot, 1 CAR3 would be your rainbow carrot. So anything with the 1, you know it's a root, and that can help you with some organization. Or maybe you just do it CAR0, CAR1, CAR2. So let's just put it, let's say we put CAR, let's keep that, keep that CAR1 over here for the parent SKU. When I look at the format, now you can see it's index match is what's actually looking that up. So if we just look at that formula, because we're doing formulas, so it's looking up whenever there's the word carrot here, it looks in your description list for, it's going to look up the parent SKU for anything that has the word carrot in B. And it's always the first instance of it, starting from the top. So that's your index match, which looks up a specific thing. And that's what we get there. And then here's the suffix, as we looked at, and we got our handle. So here we can, so what can we do with this? So now, oh yeah, so let's go to our Shopify CSV. And so here we have our SKUs, both as a handle and later on, it's also as a variant SKU used. And so we'll know that whenever we're referring to that SKU, it'll show up. And so when you're in your search menus, or if you're in your dashboard, you can just start typing up the SKU, and it'll pop those products up. You can organize your products. You can usually filter your products by SKU and then organize them ascending to descending number by SKU. Yeah, and so in this case, in this format, in this formula here, the SKU is what is being looked up. Anything that has a SKU here in the format list is popping up in this Shopify CSV. And then over here, it's if there's, is this true? Actually, this is just filtered out here. So I'm going to bring in another sheet. I'm going to bring another sheet, and I'll just, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a SKU, and we're going to put a drop-down menu. So we're going to do data validation. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose the SKUs based on the format that are right here. We'll go all the way down, and then we're going to push OK, and we're going to reject input if it's not there. We're going to do save. And over. So now we have a drop-down menu that looks at our specific SKU, and we can choose a SKU. And then, so there's 3 things that we might use with the SKU, 3 formulas that we look up a lot. So one is SUMIF, one is index. Well, so let's start with index match because we've already kind of looked at it a little bit. But so index match would be, I want to find a word associated with this SKU. So I would do equals index, and I'm going to go and look up in this column here. I'm going to be looking up, let's say I'm going to look up what the format is. So that's the end result I'm looking at. So a word in this column. And then I'm going to do comma, and then I write match, open parentheses, and in here, I want it to be referenced to A2. That's the specific SKU, comma, and then in the format, I'm going to look at it in this column H, which has a different SKU. So it's going to look up that specific SKU, and it's going to give me the item in column C, the format associated with that. And then I'm going to do comma 0, and the 0 is really, really important. You don't have to put the 0, and if you don't put the 0, it's going to give you the next best thing, which can be irritating. So 0 means it's the exact match it's looking for. And I'll close the parentheses, I'll push enter, and the word but shows up. And so if I change this, it's going to, it's dynamic, so it'll update this. So that is the index match. So if you're looking up things that contain words, index match is a fantastic place. Now you could also do SUMIF. And so let's say we had another sheet. Did I add it? Let's add another sheet over here. Insert another sheet. And so I should have maybe exported something from the online store, but okay, we got different products. And maybe you have, so here's the SKU, and there's a specific, or we'll do this over. We'll say there's a specific date. And so let's say on the 19th of April, we took some order. Let's just format that so it looks like a date. On the 19th of April, we took some orders. So different orders came in. And so one order was for the SKU, this SKU, and the quantity was 25 orders for that. And then we also got 10 orders for this, 4 for that, nothing for this. And then the next day, 4/20, we got some more orders for bunches of carrots. We got 10, but nothing else. And then the next day, which would be yesterday, 4/21, which would be yesterday, we got some bunches for pounds. We got 2, and then we also got some for bunches. So pound. Yeah, I'm mixing my words there. 10, and that. Let's just finish there. Now, what we can do with the sum if is we can write equals sum if, open parentheses. We're going to look up everything in this column that has the criteria, the column looking for anything that looks like this, comma, and then I'm going to sum up the quantities, close parentheses, and it shows me 4. And now I can drag these formulas down, and they're going to populate. Now here, this is the CAR 1-1 pound. Let's put the bunch here. So 45 pop up. Let's see if this makes sense. So this one is a bunch, and then this one is a bunch, and then this one is a bunch. So 25 plus 10 plus 10 is 45, which is right. So this number is accurate, and so it's sum ifed based on that. So that's another thing that you can look up. So you can look up a sum if and an index match based on the SKU. Now you don't have to, it could be a different word that's in there, but the SKU is a nice thing because usually they're easy to write out and repeat, and that makes them good references. So okay, so the last thing I'm going to look at is a couple other formats of extracting your parent SKU in there. Somebody commented pure gold. It is pure gold. Yeah. Now, so there's 3 formulas that let you deal with parts of a string. This is called a string. These sentences. And so the left formula is equals left. Open my parentheses. I'll just delete this little message. Open parentheses, and I'm looking at this. No, okay, let's do this again. Open parentheses, I'm looking at cell A2, and I want to extract the first 5 characters. And that shows me BN209, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I drag this down, for all of them, it extracts the first 5 characters. So that works fantastic. Now, there is another formula called mid, where mid just takes the middle stuff out. So I could write equals mid. I'm going to take stuff out of this formula, and then I'm going to do comma, and starting at 1, I'm going to go all the way to 5, close parentheses, and this shows me PN209, which is the same thing, right? It's essentially the same thing. Now, if I had started in the middle at 2, it's going to show me N209, and then working afterwards. And I could also choose to start at 6 to only see the suffix. And if I keep that number 5, it's going to show me 5 digits. But here, there's missing a G because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, what I maybe want to do is get rid of the, I'll start at 7 because I don't want to see the hyphen. So I can see the format, A, 1 kilogram, 400 grams. This works because it's actually 5. But as we showed before, let's say we had made it at 3. When we bring that down, it's only going to show the 400 in this. So that's where you can see that variable suffixes can be tricky. Now, the workaround is if you're just trying to extract the suffix, maybe you choose a really long number, 30. And I doubt that you have any suffixes that are going to be 30 long. That's probably not great. And then the last So in this case, this is just how you wouldn't have to worry about the suffix length. And here, just because we're being complete, just another formula is the digits, the characters from the right. So looking at this, and if I choose 1, it shows me A. Now here there's a problem because if I choose 1 for each of those, it's going to show me G or G. So if the suffix was all the same length, the right formula would work. If it's not, it's going to give you wrong information, and you're better off with the mid. So let's recap a little what we looked at today. So we started off by looking at what a SKU was, which is a stock keeping unit, a unique way to identify a product and a variant. We looked at how to build a SKU with a parent and a suffix, and how the parent refers to the product and the suffix refers to the format. We reviewed the sheets that we looked at last week, so the description sheets, the format, and to build the Shopify CSV. And if you want to see more about specifically the Shopify CSV and importing your products, you're welcome to go back and look at last week's live session. It's both on YouTube and on Facebook. So you can look at that, deep dive into this. And then we looked at using some formulas. So index, match, sum if, both ways you can look stuff up. And you don't have to do them with SKUs, but SKUs make them a great way to look things up. And last we looked at extracting parts of the of your SKU based on these formulas, and showed why it's good to have a standard length for at least a parent SKU. This parent SKU, I'd really encourage you to do it. The rest, I think for the suffix, it's maybe more important to understand what the format is. So I'd recommend maybe using a pound, a bunch, a unit as your suffix. So that's today's Farmer Spreadsheet tip. And if you have any burning spreadsheet questions, that come out of this one, or something else that you're thinking about related to your online store, or anything else on your farm, send it to me. I have a form that you can enter. You can submit questions to spreadsheet.farm/questions. And I'm looking always for new things to put spreadsheet tips together about. And I love it when it comes from you. And the last few topics have come directly from comments. This was specifically a request talking more about SKUs, and so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic rest of your day, whether you're in the morning, afternoon, or evening. I hope you have. We had a bit of snow today, a little bit of some squalls. But I hope you have some great weather one way or the other. And take care of yourselves. Happy farming.